I'm Ashley Dvorkin with Fox411.com movie reviewer Justin Craig, and this is your Fox 411 Big Screen with a movie fit for Halloween, as Daniel Radcliffe stars in the supernatural thriller Horns. Based on the novel by Joe Hill, Stephen King's son, the story follows a guy accused of murder who wakes up one day with, yes, you guessed it, horns. Horns which have the power to help him figure out who the real killer is. So Justin, tell us more about the story and the cast joining Radcliffe.
Like you said, Daniel Radcliffe plays a young man, and his childhood sweetheart, who he's loved his entire life, they grow up together, they start, they've been dating almost their entire lives. Well, she's murdered, and it looks like he did it. And he is so angry, so unbelievably angry at the world that he curses everything and wakes up with horns, and it's almost as if since he's cursed everything, he becomes the devil himself. Mm-hmm. And so once he has these horns, anybody that speaks to him unloads their innermost, darkest secrets, and he's so confused at first. It's pretty funny. So it's, part comedy, part horror, but it's pretty funny once these people just out of nowhere just come up to him and start saying, like really.
Yeah, very dark comedy.
And he uses this power to clear his name first, and to find out who really did kill his girlfriend.
And talk about some of the themes that the film touches on, because it's not just a straightforward horror film or supernatural. It touches on the mythical to just human nature. Yeah,
so I mean, at the heart of it is a love story between these two characters, and it goes back into their childhood too. So you have a little bit of the history behind them in, I guess it's in the 80s now. So there's that, and then this more fantastical angle with the demonic side of him, but how love ties all these things together and kind of triumphs over evil and all that. So it's your very familiar love story with a nice, cool twist on it.
Yes, and so the cool twist on it. So do you think it's a unique kind of horror film? It still falls in the horror genre.
Sure, of course. It's not like in-your-face horror like we see so much today. This is very much character-driven, and great performances by Daniel Radcliffe and Juno Temple. I mean, we've seen so many different types of performances from Radcliffe since Harry Potter. I think this is one of his best because, first of all, he does an American accent here. He does it really well, too. And he just, the expressions on his face and his whole complete reaction to everybody asking him these questions is just great. So he has to deal with that. He has to deal with the media on him, and he gets so angry with them. But then his own parents turn against him. And how do you deal with that when your own parents think you murdered your girlfriend? And he just delivers this devastating performance, and at times funny, but really devastating.
And some of his co-stars. There's a great cast here.
Great cast. We have James Remar from Dexter. We have Heather Graham in a small scene. We also have Max Minghella. He's in it. And who am I? David Morse. Yeah. And Kathleen Quinlan.
Yeah, which it's great. It really adds to it, all the performances. And like you said, we've seen Daniel Radcliffe do a little bit of scary movies before. We saw Woman in Black, but this is just a whole new side of him. Let's talk about the author. Tell us a little bit about Joe Hill, and then also if the film stays close to the novel.
Yeah, actually, the film is very faithful to the novel, and it's written by Joe Hill. And Joe is, he writes comic books, and he writes really. It's not so much like his father's books. Okay. He has his own style, and he's very much built his own reputation on his own merit, and that's great. So I'm sure he probably doesn't want to go around being known as Stephen King's son.
Right.
But he's a great author in his own right, and Horns was actually a really great book, and I enjoyed it. And actually, I always prefer the book to the movie because you get so much more out of it. So if you haven't read the book, I would definitely read the book. But if you don't have time to read the book, this movie's pretty damn faithful to that book. So you're not going to lose the essence of Joe's book.
So you recommend it?
I do recommend it. It's a good Halloween film, and if you like, a lot of, love story in your horror, this is definitely your cup of tea then.
Great. Thank you, Justin, as always. And of course, comment and tweet us at Fox411 to let us know your thoughts on this film and the week's new movies, rest of the movies out in theaters. As always, thanks so much for joining us.